Hey Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook. For those that are new around here, the name's Rainy Barton. I teach elementary music and I also read a bunch of books. Thriller, horror, fantasy, romance, nonfiction, all the things. Subscribe and stay tuned. And if you didn't notice already, the camera quality is much better. Why? Because my camera is fixed. Yes. So if you don't know, I got a new camera, a really nice Canon camera in November, and then it broke in April, and I've been without it since then, and it is back and it is gorgeous, and so I am so happy the camera quality is back. I could not be more excited. Alright, so now that I've said that, we're going to actually talk about what I came here for, and that is the July wrap-up. So I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in July. This one was across the board, a range of emotions from really bad to really great. And so we're going to start by jumping into my stats. If you're not interested in that, you can just skip ahead to where I actually talk about my thoughts about each book. I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible. If I already talked about a book in length within a vlog, then I'm going to just really vaguely touch over it so that we're not spending as much time. And if you want to know my ideal thoughts on those, I'll link the vlogs that they were in underneath here. But with that, we're going to get started with the stats for July. All right, I'm looking at my phone. I am cheating so that I make sure I stay on track for this. Okay, so I am excited to share that in July I had my highest reading month and I read 14 books. I normally read about 11 to 12, so 14 was stepping up the game. You'll find out why in just a short sec why I was able to make that happen. I mean, I wasn't in school, but I was still spending my time doing other things. My page count was also the highest as well. It was 3,786 pages. It was only the highest by 20 pages, and you'll also find out why it was 14 books. It was still more, but not that much more. The audio count was 39.74 hours. That one's just kind of like in the middle across the board. I average between like 25 to 40 normally on a good day. The reading method was I read 8 mixed media and 6 physical, because some of them, like I said, are newer releases, and so it's a little bit harder for me to get the audio for that. However, I joined a third library today, and I joined Scribd, which I didn't really know about before. How I survived without Scribd before, I don't really know, but I have that now. Then when we get to the genre types, I decided to really just venture into the realm of horror. And so I had 7 thrillers, I read 6 horrors, and I read 1 romance. So horror was just like an adventure. And I actually had a really fun time with it. When we get to like talking about the books, you'll hear my unique thoughts on exploring the horror genre. For book types, I read 9 novels and 5 novellas, so that's why I'm saying the page count was shorter and I was able to read more. A bunch of them are actually going to be in an upcoming vlog in August, a horror novella vlog, so be excited for that. That's why I was in my horror reading mood. And when the star ratings came, we have 1 2-star, 1 2.5 star, 1 3-star, 1 3.5 star, 2 4 stars, and 7 5 stars. So I am still having the most 5 stars across every month. Like, I just know my reading taste, okay? Every now and then you get a flop and one that you expected to be good, or like you kind of went in knowing it wasn't going to be good, but like I know my reading taste and I know what I'm going to like, so I feel pretty good about that. The age range was all adult, didn't read any YA, nothing like that. As far as years of publication go, I read 2 books from 2015. 1 from 2017, 1 from 2018, 3 from 2020, 1 from 2021, and 6 from 2022. So I am still prioritizing 2022 new releases. I still have a couple I need to get to, but primarily I'm reading books that have come out this year. My method of acquiring these books is I owned 10 because your girl loves to own books, and I borrowed 4 from the library. That is a new record for me, okay? Okay. I didn't just go get all these little horror novellas. I also have like an issue about paying like full price for a novella or a book that's under 200 pages, especially if it's hardcover. I just can't justify it, you know? Like, I just can't. For standalones versus series, I read 11, no, that's wrong. I read 13 standalones and I read 1 series. I started a new series, The Murders of Molly Southbourne by Tate Thompson. I believe there's 3 in that series, and that's the series I started for this month. For diversity, last month I read no people of color authors, and this time I read from 3, so I'm doing a little bit better. I read from Akwaeke Emezi, who is Nigerian. I read from Stephen Graham Jones, who's Native American, and I read from Tate Thompson, who is Nigerian as well. So stepping up the game, but I still would like to see that be definitely higher. And then new versus returning authors, I had 12 new to me authors and 2 returning. The 2 returning are Grady Hendrix and Stephen Graham Jones. And then that's basically all of my stats. So we're going to dive into the order for this time, and I'm going to talk about books that were in featured vlogs and like just brief little thoughts about them, and then we'll spend more time with the books that I haven't featured in a vlog, or if they're featured in a vlog and you just haven't seen it yet. Alright, here we go. So, the one of the vlogs that I did was for Summerween, which was hosted by Gabby Reads and Olivia Reads a Latte. So, in that, there were a bunch of different prompts. It basically helps you read, like, thriller and horror books at a different time of the year. And I was supposed to read 4 books in that, and I only read 2. And so, I'll talk about the 2 that I read really briefly. Like I said, if you want to learn my more in-depth thoughts on those, I will link the Summerween vlog underneath here and try and link it above the top of the video, if I can remember. The first one I read for that vlog was We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III, and this is one of the books that I gave 4 stars. So this one is about a family that's basically on the verge of self-destruction. I believe the parents are about to get a divorce. The dad's very abusive. You know, the daughter is like going through like adolescence and all that, and the kid is just really little, and they get locked in their bathroom during a tornado because a tree falls down on the door, and crazy supernatural paranormal shit happens, and it got really weird, like really, really weird. Very weird. I very much enjoyed it. It has an ambiguous ending. I will say that. So if you're not one of those people that like can't handle, like if you can't handle an ending that's very vague and like you don't know what's going to happen next, then like this is not the book for you. But I very much enjoyed this, and I get the hype why everybody really likes it so much. Up next for that vlog, I read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, and I'm very sad to say I gave this a 2.5 stars, and I was expecting this to be a 5-star prediction, which I actually need to update my 5-star predictions video about this. Yeah, I was expecting full 5-star because I absolutely loved the Final Girl support group by him. I gave that 4.5 stars, and yeah, no, this was not it. This was weird, disgusting horror. There was this cockroach scene that made me want to gag. There was this rat scene that I was not about. Like, it was like disgusting horror, and it was weird as hell, and it didn't make sense, and it dragged on and on for ages. Like, the whole story about a vampire and stuff really didn't come into play until like 70% in. And like I said, it was just gross and disgusting, and I just didn't really enjoy it. So I'm sad to say this book is not for me, and I know it is very beloved, but it is not beloved by me. Even a little bit. And within that vlog, I was also supposed to read Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. I just didn't get to it. I'll read it another time. And I was also supposed to read Haunt by my friend Ren Montgomery. I am currently in the middle of that, so that will be tacked into my August TBR instead. And then my most recent video was an anticipated thriller release vlog where I read 4 thriller releases from 2022. And the books that I read for that were, the first one, or I'm just going to go in whatever order they are in this stack. Like I said, I'm also not going to share a lot of in-depth thoughts on them because the vlog explains it, so I'll link the vlog underneath. I read The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark, and this was a 5-star read. I went into this not really knowing too much, just knowing that it was about like a con artist and fraud and like all this other stuff. I had heard that she had 2 books before this, and I hadn't read either of them. It was a book of the month selection, thriller, so I picked it. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great time. I thought this was a fantastic read. I flew through the book super fast. It has pretty short chapters, and I just loved everything about both of our main characters, the con artist and the woman trying to, like, you know, expose the con artist. I just thought it was a very good story. She's a very good writer, and if you want to see more in-depth thoughts, check out my vlog. In that vlog, I also finally read my first Riley Sager novel, and that is The House Across the Lake, and I also gave my first Riley Sager novel 2 stars. So it did not start off well for Mr. Sager, but I've heard his books are getting worse over time, so I'm not really that surprised. So I'm not going to say why I didn't like this because it is a huge spoiler. If you want to hear all my spoilery thoughts, definitely check out the vlog because I went ham on this book. Like, I was mad. I was really mad, just like reading Riley was. It was a fine book if you are looking for that sort of thriller. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, the twist was like, to me, I thought it was a cheap shot. I thought it was not the type of book I was like going in for, and if I had known it was that type of book, it might have scored higher. But yeah, this just didn't do it for me. I'm very saddened about it. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like, I didn't enjoy it that much. So, you know, it is what it is. I also read The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and I gave this a 3-star, middle of the road as well. This one was just all right. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great. It was just in the middle. Like, I just didn't care for our characters. I thought it was boring. They just kind of didn't do really anything for me. So, I mean, I would recommend it if you're, I think this is a really good beginner thriller. Like, if you've not really read thrillers before and you want to get into the thriller genre and you want to start off easy, I think this is the perfect book for that. If you are, like, a seasoned thriller reader, like, you can just skip this one. It's not really, like, worth, like, spending your time and effort on. But yeah, this one was just all right. Like I said, if you want more thoughts, read my, or watch my vlog. It's just all right. And then the last one I read for that vlog was The Violence by Delilah Dawson, and I read this for Haley Hughes' Queen's Book Club. It is 500 pages. It drags for freaking ever. I believe I gave this one 3.5 stars, and the reason, I really liked the whole, like, story of it, okay? It was set in a time after COVID has already happened where there's a new virus that is, mosquitoes infect you, and it basically gives you this rage where, like, you basically forget what's happening and you wake up and you've ended up murdering someone pretty brutally and savagely. And it's called The Violence. And so this woman uses it to escape her very abusive husband, but then, like, some other stuff goes down and, like, her whole family gets separated, and you're following 3 different storylines: the mom, the grandma, and the daughter. And there was, like, some wrestling stuff that happened in this book that, like, I was like, why is this here? This book honestly could have been 150 pages shorter and it would have been a really good book. I'm not saying it wasn't a good book, because I really did enjoy this. Like, I still gave it 3.5 stars. But there were times where I just didn't want to finish. Like, I just was, like, done with it at this point. And, I mean, I just feel like it had a really cool plot, but it was not executed as well as I would have liked it to have been executed. So I feel, and I do think a lot of the things were outdated. Like, she mentions Glow, the wrestling show, like, multiple times, and, like, that show was canceled or ended a few years back. And so, like, it just feels a little dated to me. But otherwise, not a bad read. And I still think the cover is very, very stunning. Alright, up next we're going to talk about the 3 horror novellas that I read for this month, and and for this horror vlog that is going to be coming out fairly soon. And so I don't really, in fact, I'm not going to tell you a lot about my thoughts. I'm just going to give you my rating, and I'm not going to really explain why, because I don't want to spoil my horror vlog that's going on. So the first one I read was The Murders of Sully Southbourne by Tade Thompson. Like I said, this is the first book in a series. It is book 1 of 3 about this woman named Molly Southbourne that basically whenever she bleeds, an clone of herself comes to, like, kill the real Molly. And so, like, it was a little confusing throughout this book because, like, they're all called Molly, and so you'd think you would be, like, following the actual Molly, but then you would be, like, talking to a clone, and it just got a little confusing. However, I really, really liked it, and I liked the ending, so I gave this one a 4 star, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, like I said, I don't want to dive too far into why I loved this, but I thought it was a really fun time, and I definitely am going to move on to book 2 in the future. And the next one that I read was Sour Candy by Keelan Patrick Burke, and this one was a 5 star. This one was really crazy, really weird. It's definitely out there, and it was creepy. This one is about Phil and his son Adam, except for the son is not really his son. He met him in a grocery store that day, and then later on that afternoon the boy is, like, in his house, and all this, like, weird paranormal creepy horror stuff is happening to him, and it's just like, is Phil gonna make it out alive? Like, I don't know, is this kid gonna ruin his life? I don't want to say more. I'll say more in my vlog, but it was a fantastic time, and it's only 75 pages, so if you're looking for, like, some really ooky spooky read, this could be the one to do it for you. Then the one that we have next, I was very excited to read, the one I was most excited to get to, and that is Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca, which this edition is pretty hard to come by right now. I borrowed it from my library. I guess it's out of stock or out of print. And so people are charging up the butt on Pengo. It's like over 120 bucks, and this girl ain't about to pay that much. But anyway, I understand the hype. This was a 5 star, and it was very disgusting. The end of it was like, oh my gosh, ew. Ew! And that's all I'm gonna say. But this one is about 2 lonely young women that are in an internet chat room, an LGBTQ chat room in the early 2000s, and one of them is selling an antique apple peeler, and that is all I'm really gonna say, because anything else that I say is basically a spoiler. But with that being the plot, I went into this going, how is this gonna be a horror? And just wait, homegirl, just wait. It gets weird. But I loved it, and I'm very excited to read more from Mr. Eric LaRocca. I did read one more horror novella. I forgot about it because it's still in my car. I just haven't picked it up, and that was Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. And I hated it. I hated it. It was 2 star. The only reason it's not a 1 star is because 1 star you have to really offend me to make me give you a 1 star. And this did not offend me. I've just learned Stephen Graham Jones is not for me. He's just not for me. I read My Heart is a Chainsaw last year because Kayla, Books and Lala, it was her favorite book, I believe, of last year. And I love Kayla, but I do know that we don't always have the same reading taste. And I thought that was an abomination. I thought it was like the worst book I've ever read. I didn't understand it. His writing is like written in a way that I don't understand what's going on, and I feel stupid while I'm reading it. And I feel like he just writes really convolutedly. And I do know that this is not a hot take. People either like his writing or they don't, and it's just not for me. And so I feel like I need to stop reading from him. However, I do have his book, Only Good Indians, or All the Good Indians, or whatever it's called, and that's gonna be like my final try with him. In fact, I'm gonna be doing a vlog really soon where I give authors that I've hated 2 books of theirs like a final chance, like last chance to like dance. But I don't think it's gonna go well. We just don't vibe. You know, when you don't vibe with an author, you don't vibe with an author. And yeah, I didn't like this, and I'm gonna save the rest of my I didn't like this thoughts for the vlog, but I didn't like it. And then finally, we will go in order of the books that my final last 4 are all 5 stars as well, and we'll just go in order of like my least favorite of the 5 to my favorite. So the next one would be You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. I was really excited that I finally got to a book by them. I've been wanting to read one for a while, plus this cover itself is just beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed this one. I thought this one was really funny. She knows how to write really funny but also really powerful books. This one focuses a lot on grief for Faye, and basically her husband died in a car accident 5 years prior, and this whole book is basically about her learning to be okay with loving again. And what I like about it is that she like goes through several relationships within this book. So it's not like she just finds one person and like that's it. Like this book allows her to like find her way navigating through messy relationships, because it's going to be messy, especially when you're still kind of getting over the loss of like your significant other. And when you finally find out who they end up getting to be with, I was a little thrown off by that. But I just loved this book. It was beautifully written. I thought the way it was handled was beautiful. I loved the ending. And yeah, Akwaeke Emezi, really knows how to write powerful and a beautiful book. So I had such a fun time with this. I can't wait to eventually read Vivek OJ by them, because I know that that's like the thing that they got famous for. But yeah, I loved this. Everyone in my book club really enjoyed this. We had a really good time with this, and I just thought it was great. The next book that I absolutely loved and ate up this month was Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. I read this because I wanted to, but also because I love Haley Hughes and it's one of her favorite books, and so I read it. And I had the best time with this. So I read the majority of it while I was waiting outside this tattoo studio in Georgia to get a free tattoo for women empowerment, which I got this right here, this girl tattoo with the flowers. I absolutely love it. And I had only been 100 pages in, and I read the rest of it and wished I had brought another book because we were still there for a couple hours after reading it. But it was great. So that one follows our main girl, whose name I'm blanking on right now. Why am I blanking? I literally just read this book. I loved it. Can't you tell? Anyway, I can't remember our main character's name. It's fine. But basically, she is in jail because she helped cover up her best friend's murder 5 years prior with the Sweet Bay Strangler who used to be her ex-boyfriend. And so she goes to jail for 5 years. She ends up getting out, and the same murders start happening again right after she gets out, and he had escaped from jail already. And so everyone's thinking, oh, it might be the Sweet Bay murderer, and so you're basically trying to find out, like, how are those murders connected to, like, her getting out of jail, and, like, what really happened to her friend, and, like, all of this stuff. And it was wild. I was not expecting that ending. I thought it was a little crazy, a little out there, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked her writing. Like, I could just tell from the beginning that this was going to be a 5-star book. Like, there's certain books that I just read and I can really tell that, like, this is going to be the book for me, and this definitely was. Like, I understand why Haley loves it so much. I cannot wait to read more from Jennifer Hillier. If you already saw my August TBR, then you know that I'm reading her newest one, Things We Do in the Dark. And then in September, I'm actually doing I'm being a guest or a host for my friend Amy Noel's book club, and we're going to be reading The Creep by Jennifer Hillier. So I'm going to be getting my Jennifer Hillier fix over the next couple months, and I could not be more stoked. All right, final 2, and it was hard to pick between which of these I liked better. And both these are also Haley Hughes favorites. Maybe there's a Haley Hughes taste test coming soon. I'm just saying. And we read Pretty Girls for her Queens Only book club for Patreon. And she's been wanting everybody to read this. This is her favorite book of all time, and my first Karen Slaughter read, and I do want to read more of Miss Slaughter because this book was fantastic and it was 5 stars. Now, I heard that it was very gory and very, like, you know, horror filled, and it does have that stuff. Like, there's torture and, like, all this other stuff in it. But it was not as bad as I thought, which made me think that maybe I can handle more than I thought. However, maybe this just is not that bad, and when I read other books, I'm gonna really learn, like, oh, Rainy, you can't handle anything. Like, you know, I won't know till I read a scary book like that. But this one follows Claire and Lydia. Something happens between them, they're sisters, and they have a falling out. They don't talk for like 20 plus years. And then Claire's husband is brutally murdered, and her husband is brutally murdered, and then this random girl is like randomly murdered, and so they're trying to see how those two things are connected, and it gets really crazy. And like I said, there's torture and kidnapping and murder and all these other things, but it was really good. I loved the sister dynamic between the two of them. You get to switch between the different perspectives and the chapters in them, and overall, it was just really good. It definitely gets dark, so if you don't think you can handle that sort of stuff, then I wouldn't recommend it. But I absolutely loved this book, and I cannot wait to read more from her. I just got her kind of sequel to Pieces of Her for a book of the month, and so I'm going to read Pieces of Her and Girl Forgotten, hopefully like in this month or the following month. And then we'll be on our way with reading more from Miss Slaughter. And let's finish strong with my favorite book of the month. I just love this. I love the writing. I just, you know, it spoke to me. And that was Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. I've heard it's called diabetic noir, as Katie Colson says, because like she wrote this and her husband is a diabetic. And so like all of the diabetic representation was like apparently spot on and really fabulous, because like she did a lot of research and she lives with, you know, her husband who could die from diabetes at any time. This book was so good. It reminds me of Catcher in the Rye. I feel like the author just kind of like goes on tangents, and like it's just how my brain works. Like she'll be talking about something and then all of a sudden she'll be talking about something else. And it's just very like storytell, like it's told very much story-like and like a character journey kind of. And I've learned that that's really my thing. Like I had so much fun with this book. I thought it was fantastic. I read through it like super fast. And it was just the best thing ever. I just loved this. Like, I could gush about this for a while. This is going to be probably one of my top books of the year. It was just so fun. So, if you're looking for, as I coined last month, a fun feel-good thriller, this is a fun feel-good thriller. And I did a terrible job explaining what it was about. It's about this girl named, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting all names today. A girl named Ruby, she's being accused of murdering 3 people, and she's being accused of murdering 4 people, but she's only murdered 3, but of course she doesn't want anyone to know that she's murdered anybody, and so it's just her telling the story of how she killed the 3 people, what happened with the actual 4th, and like how she's gonna get out of like being accused of 4 murders. And it's a fabulous time. Feel good. Like I said, feel good. Alright, well, that is all of the books that I read in July. Like I said, I had a really good month. I had some flops, but I also had some bops. Hopefully you are able to find some of these books that are in my TBR, or not my TBR, my wrap-up, and hopefully you like them more than I did, or if you didn't like them, then I'm sorry, but let me know what books you're interested in reading that I enjoyed, or books that we both read that, like, just give me your thoughts down below. What was your favorite book that you read in July? What was your least favorite book you read in July? Alright, with that, I'm going to go. I need to edit some videos. I need to get ready for school because school is back in session, unfortunately. It's unfortunate. Alright, but I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!